They call her the mother of Pentecost. She was the everyday woman who was chosen by God to shake the nations. She became a revivalist who allowed the power of God to work through her. Strongholds that held families and communities in bondage were broken through her revival meetings. Her desire was for all to know Christ. Her name is Maria Woodworth-Etter, and this is her story. Maria was born in 1844 to a family of simple farmers. Her father struggled with alcoholism, and then one day he died in the field. And because of the death of her father, her mother had to find work. Maria called this the first great sorrow of her life. But this did not stop God from using her. When her father died, her mother began to attend the church called the Disciples. And during one of their services, Maria heard for the first time the message of the cross. And all of a sudden, the hurt that filled her heart was replaced with the love of Christ. And at that moment, Maria prayed a prayer. And she said, "I can but perish if I go. I am resolved to try. For if I stay away, I know I shall forever die." When one of the ministers heard her pray that prayer, he prayed for her, and the next day they went out for her to get baptized. When they went out to get baptized, the people around Maria began to wonder whether she would drown because she was really young. And as she heard them, those thoughts filled her mind. And in fear, she began to ask the Lord to fully save her life, and she surrendered her life in the hands of the Lord. She said that when she got baptized, when she went down into the water, a light came over her and she was fully converted, and then she fainted. And after her baptism, the people said that her life fully changed and transformed. This was the beginning of her new life in God. Maria was constantly attending church services, and she developed a hunger for the Word of God. Maria said that when she was converted, she heard the voice of Jesus calling her into the highways and the byways to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. But at the time, she didn't have any mentor, and the church she was attending did not believe in women preaching the gospel. So she decided that she was going to get married to a Christian man, and together they will be able to do the mission work. And a few years later, she married Mr. Woodworth. When she got married, they moved to the country, and then Maria got really sick, and as a result of that, they could not attend church services as often. Maria said that when she would hear the church bell ringing, she felt like she needed to go back, but knowing that she could not go, she would cry herself to sleep. She had many trials and tribulation, and at that time, her only son died. But before he died, he said, "Mama, do not weep for me, for I am going to a better place." Maria said that when her son died, she could feel the hand of God, and she could feel God calling her to a higher level and to set her affections on things above. A year later, she lost another child, but she could still feel the hand of God around her, and she could still feel God calling her to a higher level. Around this time, her daughter, Georgie, became a believer, and then she fell ill. But the wonderful thing about her daughter was that even though she was in serious pain, she was always talking about Jesus. Whenever people would come to visit her, she would talk to them about the love of God, and she would never complain about her pain. Maria said that Georgie was constantly talking to God at all times. And even though she was ready to leave Earth, she told Maria that she would leave Earth only if her mother would promise her that she would meet her in heaven. With all the sadness and all the deaths that were surrounding her, Maria's health was still getting worse and worse. The people around her believed that she was going to die, but in all of this, Maria could still feel the Lord calling her.